Hey everyone! Alright, today's video is going to be over how to add positive and negative decimals. Make sure you're writing down anything that I am writing down on the screen. Your objective: I will be able to add rational numbers fluently. Alright, so let's do some 6th grade review over our integer rules. So whenever we're adding positive numbers, we simply add them together. You've been doing that since you were young. So if we had a positive 3 plus a positive 7, that would just be 10. Now, if both of the numbers are negative, like let's say we have a negative 3 plus a negative 7, since we're adding negatives together, all we're doing is finding how many total negatives we have. You can think of it that way. So we have 3 negatives plus 7 negatives, which means we have a total of 10 negatives. I like to say it that way. So negative 3 plus negative 7 would be a negative 10. So if the signs are the same, we're just going to add like normal, but make sure that the answer has the same sign as the numbers before. Alright, but what happens if we're adding different signs? Okay, let's look at this first example. We have a positive 3 plus a negative 7. Now, if you're adding a negative, that's basically like taking away that amount. So let's pretend that you're eating soup. And we know that soup is usually very hot, so we'll think of hot as positive and we'll think of cold as negative. If you were to add ice cubes to your soup, what's going to happen to it? The temperature is going to go down. So if you were to add ice cubes to something, you are actually decreasing the temperature. So when you're adding a negative, you're really just taking away that amount. So a simple way to do this is just to think of these numbers as if they were both positive. So we have a 3 and a 7. If we were to subtract those, 7 minus 3 like normal, it would just be 4. Now, since 7 would be bigger if it was positive, we know that that's going to determine the sign of our answer. So that means our answer has to be a negative 4. And let me show you this on a number line. Okay, so here we have this number line. Now remember, adding a negative, it's just like taking away that amount. So if I were to start here at 3, and I were to take away 7, that means I would move left 7 places, and see how we end here at a negative 4. So if you have trouble with these, you can always use a number line to assist you. Alright, here we have a negative 3 plus a positive 7. It's going to work the exact same way. We're going to pretend like it's normal subtraction. So we're just going to do 7 minus 3. That gives us 4. And if they were both positive, 7 would always be the higher number. So since that's positive, our answer has to be positive. Alright, so when we are adding our decimals, we want to use the integer rules. So for each problem, I'm going to write down if each number is positive or negative, and then I'm going to refer back to the rules and go from there. Anytime we add with decimals, we want to make sure that we line up those decimals, and then we solve. Alright, in example 1, we have negative 9.1 plus a positive 2.34. Now, as we saw 2 slides ago, a negative plus a positive means we're going to do normal subtraction. So, if we were ignoring the signs here, we know that 9.1 would have to go first if we're subtracting. And then we would subtract the 2.34. Notice how I lined up the decimals, and any empty space you can just put a 0. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down that decimal. 0 minus 4 we cannot do, so I'm going to borrow. 0 minus 3 we also cannot do, so I have to borrow again. And we get 6.76. Now I have to figure out what the sign is. So coming back up here, since 9.1 would be bigger if they were both positive, I have to go with the sign that's in front of it, and that's negative. So our answer would be a negative 6.76. Alright, letter B, we have negative 5.2 plus a negative 17.23. Since we're adding the same signs, we are just going to add like normal, and we're going to make sure that our answer is negative. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative sign down here. So we've got 5.2 plus 17.23. Again, notice how I lined up those decimals. Empty space, I'm going to fill with a 0. And then I'm just going to add it all together. So we get a negative 22.43. All right, example 2, we have a positive 6.44 plus a negative 3.2. Since we're adding different signs, we're really just going to subtract the numbers. So if these were both positive, we know that 6.44 would be the higher number, and that's what we would put first in the subtraction problem. I'm going to fill in a 0 here, and then I'm just going to subtract. Now, since this is the higher number, it's positive, which means that our answer will just remain a positive 3.24. All right, now it's time for you to try. There will be a question that appears on EduCanon. If you are watching this on your iPhone, you may have to exit out of the video to actually see the question. If you are having trouble with your integer rules, I suggest you come to tutoring. Tutoring is going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays in room 207. I will see you in class tomorrow, and make sure you've got all of your work done.